What's up, melanated family? How's everybody doing? So, look, check it out. Something I want to talk to y'all about real quick because we get extremely tired of seeing all the incidents we go through with police. A lot of times we're being killed, we're unarmed, the cops aren't getting arrested, the cops aren't getting arrested. All of these awkward situations, right? Well, I wanted to bring this situation up because whenever we see corruption, whenever we get proof of corruption, I think we should expose it. Like everybody should be willing to expose corruption when you see it in police departments, to put us all in a better position, hopefully, right? So, look, in 2019, and this is a story, I think I covered this story, but I'm not sure. Pretty sure I did. So, in 2019, February 9th, 2019, a young black man named Willie McCoy, right? So, Willie McCoy was sitting in a like a Taco Bell drive-through. I think it's like 10, 11 at night. He's sitting in the drive-through. He sleep, right? So this brother, this 20-year-old black man in Vallejo, California, he's in the drive-through sleep, right? So he's in the drive-through sleep. The Taco Bell manager calls the police. And even then, I thought this was fishy, right? Just knowing how they treat us, knowing how incidents play out. So they arrive on the scene, right? The brother sleep. So what would you think cops would do if someone's actually sleep in the car, right? So I guess they did do some good things. They blocked the car off so it couldn't move, right? And for whatever reason, because they haven't been able to show proof of this yet, but they said, boom, the black man had a gun in his lap. So supposedly, Willie McCoy, 20-year-old black man, he's sleep in his car in a Taco Bell drive-through. They say, hey, he has a gun in his lap. What do? They call hella backup. So it's 6, 7 police officers surrounding the vehicle, hella close to the car, right? So in any situation, like it, let's say he does have a gun, because again, they haven't been able to show the family the gun yet, right? If he has a gun, 6 or 7 officers are surrounding the window with flashlights blaring in the car. Anybody waking up in that situation is gonna wake up trying to protect themselves, right? Excuse me. So if you just look at it, there's no way they should have been surrounding the car that close. Yeah, and I did speak about this. I wrote an article about it actually. There's several other ways they could have approached this if the goal was to just make sure he woke up and he was okay and he got home safe, right? You could have barricaded this vehicle off, block the vehicle off, back away from the vehicle, make sure he doesn't hurt himself or no one else. You back far away from the vehicle, and maybe, I don't know, get his damn cell phone number from somebody in his family. Like there are other methods they could have taken. Needless to say, 6 officers surrounding the car. They said they wanted to, try to open the door to remove the gun or open the door to wake him up, rather. You know what I mean? Now, what they weren't saying is they said the car was locked, but what they didn't say is the passenger side, the window was broken. Like it was plastic on the passenger side. So if they actually wanted to get into the passenger side, they would have been able to. You know what I mean? So they surround them, 6 officers. The brother wakes up startled. He wakes up startled, and some of them said supposedly he reached for a gun. And within 3 seconds, the brother was shot 55 times. Within 3 seconds, the brother was shot 55 times, right? So, needless to say, the brother died. This is 2019. So the family at this point is still going through civil litigation. They have a federal lawsuit. They haven't like taken any money at this point, which from what I've read, this family is going to stay down and stick to the narrative of we want reform to happen. We want some systematic changes to take place opposed to just taking bread. You know what I mean? So, which that's something I'm proud of. Sometimes in these situations, our family members, for whatever reason, take the money. And we all know at times when you take the money, that prevents you from being able to move forward with other procedures, right? So the family is still fighting this. The brothers get shot 55 times. Needless to say, he died. But the reason why I'm doing a video today, family, because it's been revealed that there was actually corruption in the Vallejo Police Department, which could have led to this taking place. So apparently, the Vallejo Police Department has a badge of honor gang, family. What is a badge of honor gang? If you shoot or kill someone black or Latino, They take your badge and they bend the end of your badge. Now, this is, I know it could sound far-fetched to some people, but this is actually fact. A ex-captain, named John Whitney blew the whistle on the badge bending allegation, telling a news station named KGO that the officers were bending their badges to commemorate when they were in an officer involved shooting, and each bend signified a shooting. Whitney claimed that, of course, later he was fired after speaking out against the department. I read another article where there's witnesses and people around the situation who were backing up his claims, right? They mentioned that let me take a look here, out of the 51 current and former Vallejo police officers who have been involved in fatal shootings since 2000, at least 14 of them have had their badges bent by a colleague afterwards, right? One source told the Open Vallejo that the number could be even higher, right? So this is proof, and we've seen this across the country. Let's not be shocked. We've seen this across the country, that in LA and different places, that these cops get together and they'll have gangs based on how they harm people, right? So again, family, all of this shit is an example of how we're treated in this country is like a systematic endeavor, opposed to it being one-offs. Like one day something happens here, one day something happens here. No, a lot of this shit be systematic. So this is a extremely like brutal mentality to treat people this way, and police officers almost have a green light rather to do what the fuck they want to do, because they understand that rarely do they get arrested. Now, if y'all don't know who Willie McCoy is, or if you didn't remember hearing this story, let me show y'all a picture of the brother. This is our brother, man. This was a 20-year-old man. So this is Willie McCoy, family. 20-year-old man, didn't even get a chance to see his 21st birthday. He was a rapper in Vallejo. I think he spent some time in Sacramento, where I'm from. But these are our young brothers, and we have to call the system to the table when we continually get treated like shit. And it's never a individual incident. It always seems like it's something bigger, right? It always seems like it's more of a systematic endeavor. So when I find instances where that's proven, I think we should talk about it, because this is proof. This officer, they interviewed another officer who didn't want to show his face or say his name, so it was kind of an anonymous type of thing, and he expressed what he saw, right? And they get in these situations where if you go against what you see happening in the police force, if you're a police officer, then you get fired, you get ostracized. So what's the incentive to actually be a good police officer these days then? If I see something going on that's incorrect, if I see another officer doing something that I know is against the law and can get him in trouble, if I say something they're gonna hurt me or I'm gonna lose my job, then what the fuck are we doing this for? I remember years ago, E40 mentioned how Vallejo's police department was bankrupt. Like this police department has been going through hella situations throughout their time, like since the late 90s, 2000, they've been going through hella different incidents, and Vallejo Police Department have the highest rate of residents shot by police per capita in Northern California. So obviously this is a corrupt police force. And along with the family of Willie McCoy, 3 or 4 other families have been meeting with them, and they're going to City Hall and they're going to all the meetings. Like they're doing everything you're told you should do when you find yourself in this position. You're going to the people in power and saying, hey, this is the situation that took place. How can you possibly help us? But for Willie McCoy and these other families, to no avail. Like there's been no help at all. So all of this, family, again, we have to put these motherfuckers on blast. But all of this is for us to say, okay, what are we going to do on a personal level? Because we see the police force, politicians, a lot of times it doesn't seem like they're here to help us. A lot of times it seems like they're not going to come to our aid when we need them to, or there are people in position in this country where they can do whatever the fuck they want to do, and ain't nothing we can do back. You see what I'm saying? So this is a wake-up call for everybody out there who be telling me ain't no systematic racism. It's just one-offs. Cops kill white people just as much. Name the police gang that just kills white dudes. Like, name a gang of what type of, are there any vigilante groups in America that attack white people? Think about that. Fuck cops or people in public authority or people that are in high positions, just in general, right? Look at what we have to go through in this country. We have vigilante cops. We have vigilante white individuals, right? We got just white men. I was reading an article the other day about these white men who chased a FedEx driver, like chased a black FedEx driver out of a neighborhood because they felt he shouldn't be there. They bucking at him. What the fuck we doing, right? As black folks, come on now, because then we have that on a systematic level. I just did a story about a 6-year-old girl who was arrested. Cops put handcuffs on her. Is this shit ain't real enough for you yet? See? So the question to my family be, what is going to be our response to this type of treatment? Family, I'm not saying we in a position yet to militarize ourselves and go harm anybody, but the level of unity, the level of understanding that we have to have for one another. So when things like this happen, we can all rally around each other to show that there's strength in numbers. You see what I'm saying? We're going to protect our children and teach them history and teach them how to maneuver. That's one step. But even when doing that, you can still end up like this, brother. You see what I'm saying? So if we have police gangs, if we have politicians that's not looking out for us, if we have regular citizens who will blow our goddamn head off, we don't got no time for games. We don't got no time to be out. We don't have no time to be out here playing. All of us should have our gun license. All of us should be teaching our kids about history. All of us should be on high alert whenever we're in certain areas. All of us should practice group economics, right? All of us should be supporting black businesses, black gun shops, black situations, because the more we get our money up, the more we put ourselves in a position of power, the more advantageous we'll be when it comes time to fight these fucking white supremacists. This is I'm keeping this brother's picture up here for a reason. 20-year-old brother. Don't he look like somebody you know? He looked like one of my cousins. Could be one of my cousins. Could be one of my homeboys. Family, these situations that happen, this can be any one of us at any time. So what you gonna do? Wait till something like this happen to somebody in your family? Nah. Start supporting black businesses today. Start being involved in black endeavors today. Try your best to. Try your best to practice a sense of unity, even if it's just amongst the people around you. Some of us can't stand our fucking family, right? Because of dysfunctions, because of negative situations we've had to go through with them. We got to get rid of some of this shit, especially the men, like the men in the community, the fathers, the grandpas. We need to figure out a way to unify our family. You know what I mean? We need to figure out a way to make sure our family's protected, unify them, make sure everybody know we love them, make sure everybody's involved in a sense of group economics, even if it's just supporting your family who got businesses. But we have to try to do what we can to combat this shit instead of being sitting ducks, because even when we try our best to avoid situations like this, you can still find yourself in a fucked up position. But then we need to be in an advantageous position where we have money, right? Where if something like this happens to this young brother, I know his family has a lawyer and they're doing their due diligence to see to it that he gets justice. But we need to be in a position where we can fund this situation, right? To make sure he gets the best lawyer in the country, to make sure that it goes up the correct channel so they can sue these motherfuckers. Because it's been 2 years. They're still trying to sue them. None of the officers have gotten fired. They were all released and back into society. A couple of the officers out of the 6 or 7 that actually killed this brother, a couple of them had these type of incidents before, right? As we see with people like Daryl Chauvin, I think that's his name, the brother who did that to George Floyd. He had priors as far as having negative interactions with the community. You see what I'm saying? So until we can building up our like a militarization form of the black community, that's a thing. I'm not speaking hate or violence or anything, but we're getting killed, right? So matching fire with fire sometimes is the best way to do it. So we got to build that up. But ultimately, we got to start with just fucking loving one another, right? Because everything I just said is the truth. And then because of this system, you also got to worry about people in your community. You also got to worry about black men around in your community who can end up doing something to you as well, based on him being in a disadvantaged position, based on him being systematically shut out of things. Parents didn't raise him right. don't have any resources. So now his head all fucked up. So this is a big circle. But the question remains to all my family, what are we going to do about it? It shouldn't be Willie McCoy's out there. It shouldn't be a young brother who gets killed and there's no ramifications from the justice system. So instead of depending on what they can do for us, it's important that we say, okay, no, we're going to do for ourselves. We're going to create a structure where if you harm us, you pay either financially with your job, with your livelihood, or with your life sometime. And I'm not saying randomly killing people. Like, who wants to be a part of that kind of violence? But if you dealing with a beast, if you dealing with somebody that has no regard for life, if you dealing with a motherfucker who only shoot and you come with a handshake, well, it's not even at that point. You see what I'm saying? So let's begin to think about what we can do, right? And seeing these type of incidents, whether it be with our family, would it be somebody way across country, whether it be in somebody in a different state, it don't matter. We're all family. We're all one. What happened to that brother can happen to your son, can happen to me, can happen to you. Not to scare nobody, but let's be aware. Let's start operating in love. Let's start operating looking at the bigger picture, because I don't want my grandkids to have to worry about the police. Do you? I don't. So let's do what we can to unify. I know it sounds cliche, but what the fuck else are we going to do? Right? Vote, rely on a politician, hold them accountable, tell them, hey, you promised me this. Why didn't you do it? That's a small step. I don't say, don't try that process at all. However, we got to be self-sufficient in all areas of people activity. We got to be self-sufficient, whether it's the school system, whether it's the political system, whether it's entertainment. You pick the area of activity in society. There needs to be a sense of unification from every group in this activity. You know what I mean? That's the only way we're going to end up getting the respect that we deserve. And I understand why we treat each other the way that we do, right? Like, we understand systematically we've been put in a position, and just in general, people hurt who they're in proximity to. White, Asian, black, that part don't matter. I know some of our dysfunctions create the environment we're in or create how we treat each other. That's true. But proximity, violence, and crime is really just how the world works. But ultimately, we got to figure out a way around this shit so we can stop reporting stories like this. But I want to let y'all know about this crooked ass police department, because I always think when I see shit like this, how many other police departments around the country is it that operate under this same type of banner? Are we to assume that Vallejo is the only city in America that has a police department that commemorates their officers for killing black and brown people? Wouldn't that make sense? Look, this brother was shot 55 times. Why? Right? You back up off the vehicle, give him a chance to wake up, call his phone, get a bullhorn, hella shit you could have did. Other officers who were interviewed said how they approached this situation was non-tactical. None of it was by the book, right? None of it was by the book. So if they can kill a person, a black man, and they didn't operate under the guidelines that they're supposed to follow, who do we hold accountable? Who do we hold accountable? If their commissioner, if they're whoever's in charge of them don't do it, how the fuck can we do it as citizens, right? So let's start figuring out a way to come together. Be upset when you see these type of situations, but what can you do personally? What can you do personally to make sure the people around you are aware of how to conduct themselves and aware that when something do happen, we all jump into action? You feel me? Please like the video, share the video, subscribe to the Melanated Convo YouTube.